All right, welcome to a quick draw to help us learn a little bit more about Inkscape and for you to go ahead and practice your skills. You're going to want to go ahead and open up a new Inkscape project, and what we're going to do is we're going to create the LitLab logo, which is a pretty simple logo using the tools and uh, the nomenclature that we talked about in the last video. Here's the LitLab logo here up on the right. I've just pasted in a copy of one that we've already done there, so we can use that as a guide to see what we want to make. So we're going to start off by setting up this background. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to use the square tool to go ahead and make a square. And the square is going to be our background, so we're going to go ahead and use the change the fill to the color of the LitLab background, which I have the RGB, or I thought I had the RGB, of uh, the blue that we use here there. Okay, so there it is. So now we've got a square. And now what I want to do is go ahead and make the letters in the LitLab. I'm going to use the square again, and what I'm going to do is use the square as the base to sort of build things off of and help us space it out. So I'm going to create first the bit that's going to be the L in the LitLab. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this rectangle. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to change the fill to white. I've already gotten rid of the stroke on this. I'm going to sort of pop it into place there. It'll start to pop to the edges, and I'm going to just make sure that it's the same height as this square. I'm going to sort of eyeball the width here, and I'm going to just get it to a width that looks good. So I've got that. That's great. I have 3 letters, so I'm going to have 3 vertical bars. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste it in there 3 times for my liking. So what I can do, you can remember I can take these and I can select them all, and then I can align them using the Align tool, and now they're all definitely lined up. And then what I'm going to do, obviously the I is going to be short. Now interestingly, the T, the lit here, the part that's square is actually the part without that T overhang, so it should be right here as it is. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy this vertical, and I'm going to take it and I'm now going to rotate it 90 degrees, and this is going to give us our base for our bases. So the first time I'll take this, I'll take it and I'll pop it into place there to be the bit of the L, and I can always use the arrow keys to move things over directly left right if I don't want to worry about dragging them slightly. So I'm going to copy, I'm going to paste again, I'm going to get the little bit of our I there, and then I need the top of my T. So I'm going to have my T. Again, if I wanted to, I could align it here with the top of the existing part so I know that it's all lined up. And then the thing is, this T is going to sort of offshoot a little. So now what I can do is I can take this, select the background there again, and bring it out so I really can sort of see the full lit logo going on there. And if I want to be really particular, I could move these over and count the number of pixels to get it all perfectly lined up. And there we can see we have the very basis of our LitLab bit there. Right now this square tool, the resizing tool, is stuck on lock, which means that it keeps the aspect ratio. I'm going to take that off so that then I can make this a little wider. I don't have to make it the same amount wide as I do small, and then I can sort of frame my lit logo the way that I want. Well, the next thing I've got to do is I've got to go ahead and add that flame of knowledge. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the Bezier pen. I'm probably going to help if I go ahead and zoom in a little. So I'm going to zoom in, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw that shape. So I'm going to click and hold down the mouse key. That's going to give me a nice little anchor point there that I can control for later. And what I'm trying to do is just sort of get the general sense of the shape in this go, and then what'll happen, what'll happen, and if you hit undo, you're sort of stuck there having to start over again. So I could have picked back up and gotten there, but I just decided to go. So what I'm going to do is get sort of the basic shape. It's going to sort of be rough, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of make sure I get all the components. And then what I'm going to do later is I'm going to come back in, and so I'm trying to get the 3 flames. So I'm just doing this sort of quick and dirty to get it down. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect this up. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to fill this in. I have the, I'm going to grab the color of the gold that we use for the stroke, put it in there. I'm using it for the fill. Get rid of the stroke, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to start cleaning this up. Okay, this might take a while, so be patient, and you can of course use the tools up here to add or remove points, and then you're going to sort of move them until you get them to look the way you want. And just make, as long as you have the starting point there, then you're going to be able to get there if you give yourself enough time. So just keep working on that. Okay, so now once you have that looking the way you want, you can zoom back out, and you can get this to be sort of exactly how you want it to be. And then, of course, you can go ahead and use the Align tool to help align everything. You can take these bits, select them all, go ahead and group those together. Then you can select the back that, and then you can just align them up so it's perfectly in the center. And there you have your lit logo. Pretty good replica there. And that's that. So hopefully you were able to create something that looked kind of like that, and you'll be able to create other great shapes and drawings.